Hello, my name is Diane, and today I want to talk about the goals I set for last year as well as the goals I am going to work on going into 2024. Every year I like to just set a handful of goals for myself. I don't really like calling them resolutions because I don't feel like these things are going to happen overnight, but they are things that I like to work on throughout the year. I like to have some sort of list to focus on when I'm not really sure what to do next. These are all specifically going to be book-related goals. Last year, most of my goals were focused around finishing up reading things, books that I own, series, things like that. And going into this year, I'm trying to work on just doing things more consistently rather than doing a whole bunch at once and then not doing anything for a while. So first, let's wrap up last year's goals. Last year I set the goal to read 52 books. I definitely did this. I read about 80 books. I never raise my goal once I reach it because I don't want to just keep adding stress to myself to keep reading more and more, especially because you never really know how busy you're going to be later on in the year. I like to just hit my goal and say, yay, I did it, and just keep reading. And everything extra is just that, something a little bit extra. My second goal was to finish series when I start them. I definitely did this. I only have a few series that I'm still actively reading that have further installments out already. Anything else that I'm currently reading is awaiting the next book to come out, which I have no control over. So whenever I'm starting a series now, I'm either saying I don't want to finish this series, or I'm going ahead and moving through that series and finishing it rather than having a ton of ongoing series that I'm in the middle of reading, which feels very nice. It's very relieving not to have a list of a ton of series that I'm in the middle of. The next one was to read my physical TBR. I did a lot of this in 2022, and I don't have too many fiction books on my shelves that I haven't read, but I really did not prioritize them in 2023. I definitely didn't do this. I kept putting it off and saying maybe next month, and then the year ended and I hadn't really read any of them. My next one was to be reasonable with my reading plans. I think I did this. I was making TBRs for the majority of the year. I eventually just stopped making them altogether. I am planning on trying them again, maybe in a different way throughout this year. We'll see if they work for me, if I stick to them. But I think I definitely throughout the year got much more reasonable about how much I could actually read at any given time, and also being a bit more forgiving with myself if I set reading plans and then something came up in life and I just didn't get through all of those books. It's not a big deal. No one's going to come for me if I don't read all of the books I said I was going to. But I think I set more attainable goals for myself, but was also forgiving with myself if I didn't reach those goals either. And the last goal I set last year was to interact more with the book community, and I feel like I did this. I've joined some groups on Discord. I've interacted with other creators more. I don't think I do it very consistently, which we'll get into when I do my goals for this coming year. But I definitely did interact with more people and feel much more comfortable doing that, which was the whole point of this goal. So not too bad on those goals. Didn't do one of them, but I'm really not upset about it at all. The books that I didn't read are still on my shelves and I can still read them, so that's fine. I'm okay with that. I read a lot of really good books that I very much enjoyed this year, and the fact that those were books that I didn't own makes me feel okay about not having read the books that I own. So for this year, going into 2024, I do have another set of 5 goals. They are pretty similar to those other goals. The first one, of course, is read 52 books. I pretty much set this number every year because it's 1 book a week, which I don't necessarily read 1 book a week. Some weeks I read 3 books and some weeks I don't read any, but it all averages out to 1 book a week, and that to me feels like a very approachable goal. That some months I may be ahead and some months I may fall a little bit behind, but all in all, reading 1 book a week feels very achievable to me. The next goal is to read my TBR books. This includes my owned books that I haven't read yet, but I also have a list of series that I've been wanting to start since I was trying to finish up series last year. I was putting off starting other series, especially if they were longer ones, because I didn't want to keep adding to that series list while I was trying to get it down. So now that I've gotten it down, I would like to at least start other series and then decide if I want to read through the entire series or if just that first book was enough for me. And I also have plans to read some award-winning books. I've been planning to do this since last year, but I just never had the time because there are a lot of them for what I want to do. But that is part of my TBR now for this year, and I'm hopefully going to make time for that. My next goal is to read ARCs monthly. If you don't know, ARCs are advanced reader copies. They're those early copies of books that some readers get so that they can review them before a book comes out. That's how books have reviews by the time they're published. I started receiving ARCs earlier on in 2023, and it's something that I like doing. I think it's fun to get a book from a publisher and review it. I review most of the books I read anyway, so this is something that I enjoy doing. But last year I found that some months I would have one book that I was doing for that month, some months I wouldn't have any, and some months I had like 5 books that I needed to read and review. So I would like to continue reading advanced copies of books, but do it more consistently and reading only a couple of them each month. Spread them out a little bit more evenly, I guess is what I'm getting at, instead of not reading any for a while and then reading a whole pile of them all at once. And then continuing on with that, striving for consistency this year, I would like to consistently be posting. I have a pretty good schedule on my blog of when I post and what I post on certain days, and I kind of have a schedule on when I post videos and what I post, but it definitely ebbs and flows how much I'm doing and how frequently. Sometimes I'm posting very consistently, sometimes I feel like I have a ton of extra things I want to write or talk about and I have a bunch of extra posts one month, and then some months I'm just tired or life happens and I don't have time to do this because this isn't my job, I'm just doing this in my time, and I end up not posting anything at all. And then it's always weird to be doing a lot of writing and talking about books and then to stop doing it for a couple of weeks and then to try and get back into the habit of doing it. I'd rather just get a little bit more of a routine, which I kind of had, but I tend to be here and there with it. So this year I want to keep a more consistent schedule. I have pretty good idea of what I want to do for my post for this year, and I'm excited about all of it. I have some fun stuff planned, stuff that'll be fun for me. Hopefully it'll be fun for you to see. And the last thing is to participate regularly in the community. I said already that I found some people and groups that I like interacting with, but that tends to come and go. That sometimes I am interacting a lot with people and then sometimes I just don't have the time or the energy or both, and I'm not talking to anyone for a month about books, and then I try and come back and it always feels kind of weird to stick my foot back into that conversation when I've been out of it for so long. So those are my 5 goals for the year, pretty much just trying to get through all the books that I've been trying to get through and also just be more consistent within the book world, whether it's reading, posting, or just chatting with people about books. I've done some really fun readathons, some book clubs last year, so I'd like to continue doing that. And I feel like this every year, so it doesn't mean I'm going to achieve all of these goals, but I feel like right now at the start of the year, I feel really good about this list of goals and my ability to achieve them. Let me know if you set any goals for yourself this year, whether they're book related or not. That's all for me today. Thanks for hanging out with me. Happy New Year, and I'll see you next time. Bye.